said meat.
Oh,
Thanks.
hello.
Take those meat and potato items directly related to sustainability within the operating plan or operating agreement itself, and have that be kind of the core of the focus and the other be kind of broader discussion points. That was really the nature of the recommendation.
So then as far as the document goes, Laura, are we keeping some of those more governance related items in there, but kind of almost under a different heading? Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't actually sorry, I'm getting rid of the boxes, part 10. I haven't taken any of your original work out, because I just wanted to talk to y'all first and see how we could craft it. And then I've saved the original document, it's not gone. So I just created a new one and I expanded on it to make it more focused and a little bit more clear, because I think we're so entrenched in it that someone else reading it could get a little confused by exactly what we mean. And so I think for the most part, I was able to craft all of this to tie into sustainability, and it's kind of the later points that are a little bit harder, specifically probably the elections, maybe the executive director having values of sustainability. I mean, we could talk about that one more. The revisiting the operating agreement. I mean, I put it so that we could address the most pressing and upstate climate concerns within natural resources. So like trying to just tie it back at every point that I could. But yeah, this number 5 here was the one that I really tried to tie it, but it was a lot harder to tie that portion of it directly to sustainability. And I'm not sure if it's that council would like to see like more of these type of recommendations. But also sort of trying to emphasize at the same time that the city of Littleton, like we're not just telling South Suburban to do this, but we're also doing it alongside them. So like softening the language a little bit so that we can say like, okay, we're kind of on this journey together. Like we're not that far ahead of you, like basically being able to bring them along because, they're part of all of our parks and recreation work. So we want them as friends.
Yeah. Can we start at the beginning and just start reading through it? Does that sound okay?
Sure.
Just to kind of like from top to bottom. I'm happy to read through it. So South Suburban Parks and Recreation District Operating Agreement Negotiation Priorities. Why is this important? And so this is the part that you, like one of the things you've added in and kind of why this is important.
Yeah, and I changed a little bit the title on the other version, but just because it did fit.
The Environmental Stewardship Board advocates for increasing the awareness of natural areas within an urban environment. ESB is dedicated to amplifying sustainable practices within the city of Littleton, including all parks and open spaces. As such, ESB recommends that the city of Littleton, alongside the South Suburban Parks and Recreation District, create guidelines for achieving a long-lasting natural landscape for generations to come. The recommendations below directly relate to environmental sustainability best practices. That sounds good to me, just like as an intro.
That's just like
It's good.
here's what's happening.
Yeah, I think it's a good addition just to kind of like ease into it.
Any feedback,
No, I think
be alls, but
Make it a smidge bigger.
of course. Is that
That's awesome, thank you.
so number 1, establish a sustainability management body within SSPRD. ESB suggests that, I'm just gonna say South Suburban because that acronym, a lot of letters. ESB recommends that South Suburban establishes a sustainability management body within South Suburban. This management body, board, or commission would mirror what the city of Littleton created by forming ESB.
there was just some confusion from some people in our meeting, like they were like, they thought that y'all wanted to be the accountability body for South Suburban. So then I was like, let's just really make this, that's just me trying to make it very clear.
Yeah.
That it's a separate entity.
Okay. To increase public participation in natural resources, this board should ideally consist of citizen volunteers led by a staff liaison employed by South Suburban. To have equitable representation from all participating cities in the Parks District, ESB would like to ensure at least 1 volunteer per city in the special district.
Last time we talked about, there's some unincorporated places in the district, I think. So I don't know if you want to clear up the language there, but we can come back to that.
What about entities?
If that,
or communities or well, I don't know.
Councilmember Peters is here. See, you're lucky. You got council members nearly outnumbering your committee tonight.
I guess we can go back to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
I can click on it.
Okay.
Okay. Also, this feels a little bit nitpicky, but should it be the ESB? Like when we mention ESB, like
So you can, for acronyms, you can decide if it's like just, you can decide if you want to do that consistently. I mean, I can literally do a command find and
yeah.
add that in front of it.
If it's grammatically correct, then I don't mind it.
I think it's like an accepted practice. I don't know if it's like grammatically. I'm happy to add it if y'all want.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
The other thing that I was thinking is, and I think this does reflect our discussion last time, but did we want it to exactly mirror our board? Is that kind of how we discussed, or like, I don't know, that word just kind of was like, it doesn't have to be exactly this, but maybe it's fine to say that, like some,
Maybe you would generally mirror what the
yeah,
city.
or like, or similar to.
Would approximate what the city.
Would be similar to what the city of Littleton created.
It very much feels like semantics. I don't know if it matters that much.
Is approximate?
Yeah.
And then in B, instead of like how, maybe similar to how.
So similar to how ESB operates, this management body or board should ideally be subject to open meeting laws and hold regular monthly meetings. And then ESB recommends that South Suburban initiate the establishment of this board within 6 months of the new operating agreement taking effect to prioritize the urgency of the climate crisis.
I don't know about the last part or not.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah.
Not that I disagree with it, but
Right. But there's more to it than just the climate.
Prioritize the.
like the importance of environmental sustainability or something.
Can I even suggest, the importance to the residents of the city of Littleton, you know, you're that kind of representative resident body, and say like, this is something we as residents feel strongly about, because it's a more human kind of.
Yeah, that connection piece.
The will of the people of Littleton, I don't know.
That sounds a little.
To prioritize.
The city of Littleton's residents, desire for environmental sustainability.
Or even like to reflect the prioritization of environmental stewardship by Littleton residents.
There we go. Everything's good.
I don't even know what I just said.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's great.
That's where the best writing comes from, you black out.
I know, you just like say it, and then you're like, I don't know, someone write it down. I can't say it again.
Like to reflect the prioritization of sustainability.
By
By.
the citizens of Littleton. Or Littleton's.
Littleton, okay, yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, are y'all good with that top part?
The cities, I don't know what, I just bolded it. We can come back to it or think on
Okay.
it.
I would maybe highlight it just because I would maybe.
Bold as
yeah,
everything else is bold.
I would miss that personally. Okay, so number 2, create a stewardship action plan for South Suburban. Do we want to call it an environmental stewardship action plan?
So,
Should give it a little more direction. ESB has dramatically benefited from creating a direction specific to the city of Littleton and establishing an environmental stewardship action plan.
That's not the best sentence. I did craft this like hours ago.
Yeah, you're good. I did get a little caught up in like.
I heard you read it and I was like, I'm not. proud of this.
Yeah. I think you could just say ESB has dramatically benefit, or, well, it's not that ESB has dramatically benefited. I think you
The
could even
city of
say, yeah.
Littleton.
The city of Littleton has dramatically benefited from establishing an environmental stewardship action plan. You can just take out kind of the middle part of that. Yeah, there you go. The city of Littleton has dramatically benefited from establishing an environmental stewardship action plan. ESB strongly recommends that the newly established management body within South Suburban works to create a similar plan specific to their jurisdiction. Good.
ESB strongly recommends the newly established environmental stewardship management body or what, I don't know, maybe it's fine. It's like obvious what we're talking about here.
I
right?
hope so.
I hope so.
Or you could even say like aforementioned.
Ooh, that's such a good one.
Yes, we need that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's
I feel like that makes it
I think
like-
it's, yeah, I think it's
It's gonna
fine.
get too fluffy at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah. Well, and I was even thinking like dramatically feels like a fluffy word.
Oh, it definitely is. I just was having fun and so.
I know.
It's got it.
In A, do we need the word stewardship or can we just say action plan just to cut down on some of the words since we're adding? ESB would like to see this action plan created, right? We don't need to say stewardship again or
Or just-
environmental stewardship.
I would
again.
say like, yeah, an action plan. ESB would like to see an action plan created in tandem with the volunteer citizen advisory board and staff.
Yeah, just an action.
Similar to ESB's action plan, South Suburban's plan should include measurable goals, targets, and timelines. Examples may include: 1, conduct a greenhouse gas inventory, US Community Protocol Standards, latest edition, follow industry standard and redo every 3 to 5 years after the baseline year. 2, commit to reduce the use of pesticides and herbicides. 3, catalog tree diversity and map tree canopy through an urban forestry management plan. The city of Littleton adopted an urban forestry master plan in 2023, which can serve as a starting guide.
I think it might be management.
4, manage and reduce water use as this resource becomes more scarce. 5, increase accessibility and guidance for recycling and composting options within all parks and facilities.
I don't know about this part, this.
I think you could just take out the last part of it and say manage and reduce water use.
The first one, the redo, I think it's like reevaluate or
Yeah, re-administer.
Re-administer.
Something.
Where?
Redo
The greenhouse gas
the
inventory?
greenhouse gas
redo every 3 to 5 years.
and there's gotta be a better word than redo.
Yeah, update.
There we go.
There we go.
So glad you're here.
Yeah, exactly. Because swoop in at the last minute, to be a thesaurus.
Beginning of, you want to say Littleton's action plan instead of ESB's action plan?
Yeah.
No, I think those
Okay
are,
with them taking.
I think those are different. I feel like.
but-
Yeah, cause we
It
wrote
was
it.
done by,
So it's
this was
ours.
done by ESB.
And it's called the, well, it's called Environmental Stewardship Action Plan, right? But it's,
But you want the city of Littleton.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's the,
It's a plan for the city of Littleton.
Yeah.
to take action.
I think I would agree with changing that that verbiage. Cause you could say, I think above, maybe like created by
Because it hasn't
ESB.
been Actually formally adopted, I feel like you can't, like it should still remain as ESB's.
Can we say then maybe similar to the action plan created by E ESB?
I think so.
So in wanting to motivate South Suburban, I think that it's helpful to say we're in the same position as you were in, you know? So we're working on this, we want you to work on this too. And so that's, and South Suburban is not ESB's your agency, they're Littleton's parent
Right.
agency. So that's what I was trying to reflect, but it doesn't matter, now we're just semantics, so if it doesn't feel right, you're good
Well,
to
but this
go.
also does talk about like them
Correct.
creating a body that would then create an action plan. So like, I think that the
It's
parallel is
connected.
there.
Cool.
I think we're here.
C, ESB would like to see a report on this plan's progress quarterly to South Suburban's management body and annually to the public. So on some of this stuff, like it says like ESB would like to see something. Can't we just say that like,
Establish a report.
yeah, establish a quarterly report to South Suburban's management body and annually to the public? Cause like, yes, I would like to see it as part of ESB, but I don't think that's the main kind of point. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Develop a quarterly product or issue a quarterly progress report to the management body.
There you go. That's better.
Yeah. Can you scroll up? Did we, I wanna read, through. I'm trying to think. You go up a little bit more, just like to see number 2.
That was number 2.
Yeah, thank you.
So that says the city of Littleton has dramatically benefited from establishing. Does that make it sound like the city of Littleton did it? Or are we okay with that?
We delete dramatically. Try to quantify. Or
Too
not.
dramatic.
I don't know, it feels dramatic. Well, that is also-
I'm okay with getting rid of dramatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope it's dramatic. I don't have any proof. Or I hope it will.
There's lots of drama.
Lots of drama.
Like the city of Littleton has benefited from ESB's creation.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah, I like that better.
Yeah, perfect. That's better. Okay.
Should I do copy edit?
All right.
They're that kind of group.
Do you want this to not say then? This part?
Create an
Could we
action
just say
plan.
create?
Yeah, yeah.
As a command?
Well, and kind of even similar to like, just in the body, the main point, number 2, the ESB strongly recommends, not B, number 2. Yeah, up here. So like the second sentence, ESB strongly recommends. I would almost say like similar to how we just changed the other one.
This newly established
Yeah.
management body should work to create a similar plan.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because I feel like that takes out some of the fluff too. Like basically anything stated in this document is
Is a
a
command.
recommendation from ESB. So I feel like we don't need to restate that.
Create an action plan created in tandem with the volunteer citizenship.
Will work to create? Will or should?
Create an action plan. Who's creating it?
Their
environmental
newly
board, right?
established management body.
Yeah, so right above that, like this newly established management body within South Suburban should create a similar action plan specific to their jurisdiction.
So what does plan A say again now?
So that is kind of like restating that sentence.
Yeah, just restating
Just
it.
delete it maybe?
Well, do we want it to either be A or do we want it to be part of the main?
We're gonna have to combine them if we're, cause it's,
Yeah, like they're definitely saying the same thing. But do we want it to be
I think
A?
it could be A if you combine them.
But we want,
Put a colon after should. So that it starts the list after that. Just an idea.
I like it. Yeah, and then you can delete the rest of it, cause it is A.
Although my only concern with that is like the newly established management body doesn't necessarily need to be the one that's conducting a greenhouse gas inventory and actually creating, like doing the KPIs.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't apply to all the bullets.
Yeah,
hmm,
so. I think you just take out the last sentence in like this newly established management body within South Suburban should. And then for A, kind of restate it as, like the newly established management body should create an action plan.
In tandem, I don't think you need the second created, so should
Yeah,
create an
it's-
action plan in tandem with the volunteer. Take out that second create. That makes sense?
Well, but then also the newly established management body is also the volunteer citizen advisory board, right? Those are the same thing.
So we can delete it
Yeah, the last part of it,
after create an action plan.
Oh, yeah.
period. Yeah.
Like, you know, still
Do we want to say environmental? Or
Yeah,
well,
I
I guess
think-
it says it in the top, right?
environmental stewardship. It's up to y'all.
I think it's good. Aren't you?
I kind of feel like it should be restated.
Yeah.
Not all our meetings are like this.
I could also do
Okay.
this.
That sounds, yeah, that's fine, I think. Okay,
The rest of this is good.
yeah.
Yes, now I need to put action.
Okay, I think that sounds good. All right, so number 3, engage the community in environmental decision-making. ESB prioritizes connecting the community to the natural resources right in their backyard in Littleton.
I don't like that sentence, but it just,
I
There was one, a different.
I would just say right in their backyard and take out in Littleton. In doing so, seeking public and stakeholder input before making any major changes to assets, operations, and services that pertain to environmental stewardship and or sustainability is key. A, ESB advises that South Suburban adopt public outreach best practices, e.g. American Planning Association, National Recreation and Parks Association.
You can also just take this out and say adopt public outreach best practices.
Yeah.
That would prefer.
Yes. And kind of same thing probably with B,
Yes.
like SSPRD should communicate.
Or
final-
just communicate final decisions if
Yeah.
we really want.
Communicate final decisions and rationale so community members can best understand decisions about critical natural resources.
So at the risk of sounding redundant, at the beginning, there's ESB prioritizes. I think it's totally okay for you guys to use the royal we, you know, the city of Littleton prioritizes.
That's awesome, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You want to say we?
We prioritize.
I'm gonna say the city of Littleton.
You're speaking in third party most of the time, so
Who's reading this? It's the man.
the council is reason, the council.
Okay, they know it's from us.
Did we have anything like that in 1 or 2? Where we could just say we versus. Just city of Littleton's been, that's fine.
We
Yeah, we
suggest.
suggest. Down a rabbit hole. Oh, and then C, ESB recommends, so maybe just initiate, yeah.
Oh,
Or just establish this board within 6
You want to just say SSR?
should.
Yeah, SSPRD should initiate establishment.
I can go through and do this later.
Okay.
I feel. I'm just
Get all
going.
matchy.
Okay. I think we're down here.
Yep.
Okay.
4, integrate sustainability updates in South Suburban reports. We suggest that SSPRD include a section on sustainability at least quarterly in the South Suburban Parks and Recreation monthly report. In concert, the city of Littleton will commit to informing the community about sustainability updates.
Really? That'd be cool. Who does it? How do we do it? Do you do
I
it?
guess it'd be me.
Okay. You wrote it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
I feel like it, yeah, I'm giving them to y'all anyway, so figure that out. That is also why I changed it to quarterly, because it originally said monthly for them to put that in the
Yeah,
report.
like,
And then when I thought about if I were the one doing that, I was like, I think that's unreasonable. I said quarterly, and then I was like, then we could commit to that too.
Okay.
I still have a dream that one day we're gonna have monthly email newsletters like the city of Denver. I don't know, I like subscribe to their like I think the Office of Climate or whatever they have does like a really phenomenal.
Over 1,000 employees.
That's definitely not the same thing. I said it's a dream. It's a dream.
Just so you know.
One day we'll get you another employee.
The voters passed like a specific sales tax to do so, like over 50 million.
One day.
That sounds like a roadmap.
I really like their news. They're
It is, I-
very good.
Awesome.
All of our communications strategy is gonna be having, we got a new communications director hired as of recently, so hey, if you all have
Copy
direction,
Denver.
Coffee, that's-
maybe a little bit more specific, more achievable, but if you do have environmental like communications and sustainability communication stuff that you'd like to suggest to our new communications director, I think that would be really.
Y'all could also
Maybe there's like a
write-
sustainability section in the newspaper.
Y'all could also write up something to like report out that was in the ESB action plan. That's like something we could.
Cause I'm writing. I never really.
We're so good
That
at
might end
it.
up taking up all
We
our
do it so
meeting time.
quickly.
That's what we do.
Okay, number 5, prioritize public outreach regarding upcoming elections.
I wonder if we should take it out. How do y'all feel about it? I think it might be noise.
I feel like it's
It is a
ve-
frustrating thing though.
It's so frustrating.
It is.
And if we don't say it, who's gonna?
We are,
Good, go for it. Take it out.
Then we can take it out.
yeah, like this is a very salient point that
Okay. If it's, if,
our,
yeah.
one of our SSPRD representatives here has also heard expressed in a number of different forums.
Okay,
So
yeah, cause it's
I
not
guess, yeah, as
really-
long as it's
It is
being addressed in
not
other
it
avenues.
is not being lost.
Okay.
This is not up
Yeah.
to snuff.
I wouldn't have wanted y'all to take it out.
Okay, thank
Just
you.
didn't want to draw undue attention to that because it gets people's feelings.
You know what my feelings feel.
Got it.
All right, number 5, revisit the operating agreement. We would like the city of Littleton and South Suburban to revisit the operating agreement every 5 years. Maybe say at least every 5 years,
Or periodically,
without defining it.
periodically, usually sometimes it's 2 years. So if you said at least every 5 years, that works too.
Okay. I like having a number in there personally. We could always make it a range, like every 3 to 5 years, 2 to 5 years, something. But like,
Yeah.
I like having a number in there personally.
I think. or at
Periodically,
least-
someone could interpret periodically as every 10 years. I don't know.
Sure.
This timeline will ensure that the operating agreement addresses the most pressing and up-to-date climate concerns within natural resources.
That was just me trying to tie it back again.
Yeah,
Sustainability.
pressing and up-to-date
This time-
environmental sustainability practices and concerns, something like that.
Yeah.
Don't like the word ensure, cause it's not true. Case,
Will help ensure.
will like provide the opportunity to revisit the most pressing and up-to-date environmental practices.
Will provide the
For
opportunity to.
stakeholders to revisit, I mean, it's. To update the agreement, I don't know.
I mean, I like to like revisit and address or something. Opportunity to
Revisit and
revisit.
address the most pressing and up-to-date environmental.
um,
concerns.
Aspects of the agreement,
Hmm,
that's what it's about, right?
Yeah, so maybe after environmental, say aspects of the agreement. Delete the rest. Alright, so this timeline will provide the opportunity to revisit and address the most pressing and up-to-date best environmental
Delete that.
Yeah. aspects of the agreement,
Okay.
6, hire based on sustainability values.
We,
We urge South Suburban to hire an executive director who prioritizes environmental stewardship and natural resources management best practices.
I don't know if we should take this one out too or not.
No, that's low hanging
Leave
fruit.
this.
I like that one a lot.
Okay.
Yesterday, Councilmember Peters and one of her colleagues on the council met with the two board members from South Suburban and actually emphasized that exact point. So including this one in, they're already prepared for it. It'll be one that.
So even though it might not necessarily be something that's in the operating agreement per se, you still feel like it has a place here.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
emphasize, and really what you're, more to that point is instead of hiring executive director, you might just say emphasize that leadership is, evaluated based off of, so give it an ongoing feel as opposed to a moment in time feel.
Hmm.
Are you gonna see this before they rehire that position?
That's up to you.
We were talking 12 weeks yesterday.
Yeah,
Hire within 12 weeks or
well, they would post it for 12, maybe they said 12 weeks.
is that actually like hire in within 12, like actually have someone up?
That's what their recruiter was telling them. They were voting last night to put in a contract out, so maybe.
Should there be like a sub point about the like continual?
We urge SSPRD to hire leadership who prioritizes, so it's just like an ongoing
I like that.
objective.
would it be leadership who?
That's a prioritize, it's just
Leadership
prioritize.
prioritize.
Would we even say best practices or is it really just like environmental stewardship and natural resources management? Period.
They can't have turf in their yard. Oh, sorry.
We will visit your house during the interview process.
It's part of the interview.
Okay, we hope for a good faith. We hope for a good faith partnership between the district, between South Suburban and the city of Littleton on sustainability and environmental stewardship. We appreciate the opportunity to provide these recommendations to city council. To achieve this vision, the city of Littleton should consider earmarking funds to accomplish these items, specifically for city of Littleton Parks, Rec, and Open Space. What is that in reference to?
That's if we're going to negotiate for a higher level of service than what they're providing in other areas, then, you know, coming to the table with perhaps helping offset some of those additional costs might be valuable in getting them to agree to it.
Okay, maybe say to help accomplish these items. Cause I do feel it shouldn't be like, we're gonna fully fund every single thing we've written here, like, they have some capabilities.
A portion of these items?
So it's down below where this earmark wants to help accomplish these items.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just a, you know, reality that when you have someone who serves multiple cities, that if we're asking for something different, that we should be prepared to partner.
Okay. I got caught up on the word on in the sentence above that, so I think almost like concerning sustainability or something, like we hope for a good faith partnership between South Suburban and the city of Littleton in regards to sustainability and environmental stewardship.
Okay, what was the one below?
To help accomplish these
Oh,
items
sorry.
on the last line. Last full line.
Yep.
Help.
Is that Grammarly calling me out in regards
I
to
think it,
telling me to
is it in
shorten it?
regard to?
Yeah, it definitely is. I thought I turned Grammarly on. Oh, no, it's just word grammar.
Okay,
Yeah.
see, okay.
Well, it wants regarding, yeah.
I think regarding would be fine too.
Regarding is lovely.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good job, Cory. Alright, how do y'all feel
Give it
about?
that one.
Sorry to spring changes like in the 0
it's
hour
good.
here, but I wanna make sure y'all are affected.
And really, the only thing we deleted was in regards to the voting and ballots, right? That's the only thing that like fully got deleted out.
More
Because they're gonna.
clarity for.
And assuming it is truly addressed in a different avenue, then I feel okay
I
about
think
that.
we did a great
Talked
job.
about it yesterday. I think we could talk about it as often as we want though.
Good.
Well, so, cause the thing is, like, with the hire and continually lead, you know, based on sustainability values, like, if that's not gonna be in the operating agreement, I almost feel like we should have like, okay, 1 through 5 are things that we think should be included in the operating agreement. And then we kind of say like, in addition to these things, we think you should hire based on sustainability values and ensure equitable access to voting or something. Like, we could shorten what it says, but you see, does that make sense? Like, still,
But it's not getting lost. We don't have to communicate that as long as somebody.
Yeah, cause it's not technically sustainability. And the
well,
only reason we had it in there is cause we wanted it to be said, but.
sustainability can be as wide as you want it to be.
Right, but I think since it's already being
I
said,
think equitable access to governance is
Very much
yeah, I was gonna say, it can very much be considered a linchpin. I would only suggest saying, maybe leaving that to our liaisons, to kind of talk about with that board. I think sometimes there can just be those factors that can turn others off to reading the remainder.
But if we just make it like 1 sentence.
you're like begging.
Well,
Can we
cause
just-
I'm like, we had it as a full thing and I'm fine
I know.
putting back on it, but I'm getting caught up on if we're,
By not.
I don't wanna put my thumb on the
I'd have
scale
like
that
more
hard.
sway by not including it.
but I think if we almost take it out as a number, right? So it's almost like we have 1 through 5, right? 1 through 5 is what we're
Oh, I didn't have
including.
anything to open them with. You just-
1 through 5 is like, this is what should be included in the operating agreement. And then you stop numbering things, and then it's kind of saying like, in addition to these, like, to what should be included in the operating agreement, you know, we, ESB, recommends hiring leadership based on sustainability values and ensuring equitable access to voting. Like, you don't have to make it a full thing, just make it a short sentence.
It'll get presented to council, I'll read it over, give recommendation and on any changes. So I think if you wanna propose it, and that's kind of the consensus of your team, I'm not going to, like, again, put the thumb on that scale that hard. But it'll be kind of council's discretion whether this is the format by which we would like to communicate those things that are kind of outside the scope of ESB, so. For you.
Just if we put it on there, it's not like SSPRD is gonna read this document. It'll just be.
Well, even if they do read it at some point,
Yes.
like,
Well,
I
It'll be public record too.
Yeah, and that's where I think that equitable access in regards to voting is a sustainability issue, and including a single sentence in regards to leadership and voting, like, you know, basically take out, it's no longer number 6, it's an additional paragraph that we basically talk about leadership hiring and sustainability values and equitable access in voting.
That's what I
That's my
want.
vote. I can be overruled if y'all want to, but that's just my leaning.
Look, there is no hammer that's gonna come down and disband this.
And if we present to council and council is like, this is too much, then like, okay, fine, we'll take it out. But like,
Okay.
this is what we're presenting to council at the end of the month. It's not necessarily like
If it's
the
the
end
last
all.
point, they've already gotten the tofu and potatoes of the agreement here. I mean,
I didn't realize I was stepping on toes there, but you're, well.
Just be like another section then?
So not even yeah, so number, yep, and basically, we, instead of, you could probably end up taking out the like bolded part and kind of say like, in addition to these items that, you know, should be included in the operating agreement, we also urge South Suburban to hire leadership who prioritize yada, yada, yada. And then I'd have to go back and look at some of the terminology we used for
We also
equitable
urge-
access to voting in the
So,
elections.
I wouldn't say also, because I think we're gonna need an also in this next sentence. We also urge.
Furthermore, but we can do we all.
Yeah, perfect. How did we have it?
I don't know. I was gonna say, you could take that full paragraph and throw it in ChatGPT and say, make this one sentence.
you got your liaison feedback. You got all the meddling you'll get from me. I'll let you guys like finish off the rest, but well done. I think I think the document reads really well. Excited to see y'all present it.
Well, if y'all like totally wanna nix the voting part of it, it's totally
We'll see
fine.
how it lands with, folks.
Okay.
Yeah,
Here's what it was before, number 5.
thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Rudely asked,
Now
but.
it's really scary.
Recommend.
The font is not great.
Okay, so maybe
Okay, what did it say?
it said improve governance and then bullet pointed, send mail-in ballots to all eligible voters, increase number of board members, and increase representation of varied communities within a district. Maybe we do something along the lines of like, improve election process to ensure equitable access to
Ballots,
yeah, to
voting.
voting, to representation, to,
Opportunities or something. You could have in parentheses, e.g. send ballots to everyone or something.
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
We would also like to see South Suburban improve the election process to provide equitable representation of varied communities.
Yeah, and then in parentheses, e.g. send mail-in ballots to all, yeah,
In SSPRD.
within the district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to say within the district?
Yes. Just to be more specific.
All right, sorry.
No, that's good.
Now we
Thank you.
go back to the normal font.
Hopefully you aren't feeling I was like pushing that too much. I just feel like it's important.
It's okay.
It's
I was
okay.
just gonna go with what Steve said,
It's
but
good.
you
I
talked.
I
me into it,
understand.
so
I
it's
also
okay.
think that like at a certain point, they can decide what nuggets they want to take
Yeah.
and not take.
Exactly. This isn't going directly.
And this is a lot softer, I think, because it's not its own point.
Right. Yeah, so, okay, cool. I'm gonna read that paragraph out loud again. In addition to these items that should be included in the operating agreement, we urge South Suburban to hire leadership who prioritize, should it be prioritizes?
Leadership.
We urge South Suburban to hire leadership who prioritize, maybe not, I guess it could be plural or.
Yeah, I think it's
I don't know why that's
okay.
giving me a headache, but yeah, I think.
We urge South Suburban to hire leadership who prioritize environmental stewardship and natural resources management. We also would like to see South Suburban improve the election process to provide equitable representation of varied communities e.g. send mail-in ballots to all eligible voters within the district.
Is it too nitpicky in addition to these items, which should be included? No, that just seems better.
Looks great.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura, for shepherding us through this
Mhm,
process.
yeah.
Yeah, of course. I'll go through. Is the cities, do we wanna say,
Well, we had communities, I believe.
want communities?
That's
Or you could put
probably
in
a little,
cities in parentheses, like including unincorporated areas?
but if we just say communities, would that include all the cities and the unincorporated areas? Would that be assumed?
I guess I'd have to look at their, like, South Suburban's website to see how they
How
define,
they
like,
refer to it.
or do they just say like cities and
It's one
unincorporated?
contiguous area.
Right.
In that area, there are portions of three different counties that are unincorporated.
That'd be a wrap.
So you, I mean, you could say throughout the Parks District or something like that instead of in cities. So you're inclusive of those areas. But there's 121,000 registered voters in the district. The vast majority of them live within the cities, 6 cities, whatever it is, yeah.
Right.
Jurisdictions, because there's 2 towns.
So maybe it's good. Yeah, maybe it's fine.
Okay.
So should I just keep cities?
Yes, so.
If you wanna be inclusive, there's 2 towns and there's unincorporated, so you could just say throughout the district. But this is to our council, they know what you mean, so.
I can say to have equitable representation throughout the district.
From all participating jurisdictions,
I think you can just take that part
Oh,
out.
yeah, cause it also said, below it also says like,
Right.
want to ensure at least one volunteer per city. So I
So I
think,
think just to have equitable representation, we would like to ensure,
there you go.
and that takes out one of the weird ones that we're having a hard time with, and we
Yeah.
like to do
For
it
the next
once.
one.
To have equitable representation, we would like to ensure at least one
Yeah.
volunteer. Per,
Jurisdiction, agency, partner.
maybe we put some
Technically,
flashes,
it's 2 towns.
city, jurisdiction, I mean, can we just put a couple things to,
But do you really
does
want?
does the term jurisdiction cover unincorporated areas?
It does.
So then let's leave it with the jurisdictions.
okay.
I mean, they're gonna be overrepresented, obviously, because that's just a really small part of the district, but.
Right.
Better
We-
be
we would
over
like
than
it.
not. Yeah.
I mean, they don't have to, I guess.
Yeah, it's just an app.
Basically, we just don't want everybody from Lone Tree.
Yeah.
Well,
Alright, so I'll turn it into something a little, more like in a Canva format, and I can send to y'all, and if you wanna just send me any like one-off things you're thinking, or if something looks off,
Okay.
maybe we'll do that, and then I'll send it over to council. I was gonna do that alongside the pulled out recommendations, but I created that into a matrix. With
Sorry, the what recommendations?
the action recommendations that are related to Parks and Rec.
Oh,
So I
gotcha.
just- it looks very similar, and I just have the status for Littleton to show like, we're actually also doing this too. This will be alongside, like, here's what's happening. And this is all the stuff that's in the update, right? That we're gonna go through later today, so it's not, none of it's,
Didn't hear ChatGPT's take on jurisdictions.
Sure.
Jurisdiction may not be the most precise term.
uh-oh.
South Suburban serves multiple municipalities and unincorporated areas. A more precise way to describe these entities would be member communities, participating municipalities or areas served by us.
There you go.
member communities.
I like it.
All credit goes to
It
ChatGPT.
sounds more members.
Yes.
So to have at least one volunteer
Per member community,
per,
so instead of jurisdiction, per member community.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay,
Nice.
great.
the we is still, I'm gonna do
What's
that
the
later.
carbon footprint? I'm looking that up.
Oh.
Don't.
Mic drop.
Rabbit holes, rabbit holes. Don't let them distract you.
Oh,
Now we're gonna have to offset it. Jeez.
we just do.
Okay, so you will send us a kind of, once you've prettyized it.
I might leave that Excel doc just as an Excel doc, cause that won't be what you're presenting on, that'll just be for reference to understand all the different recommendations and how they can tie in if the council wants to look at it. Is my thought.
All right, anything else before we move on to the next item? You feel good about it?
That's good.
Great. Second item on the agenda, looking ahead to the new board in the next year. I think what we had talked about was kind of just talking about priorities. I know we kind of touched on it a little bit in the last meeting.
2 new members, one
No.
it's rolling off.
Right.
And then there was one open spot.
Oh, that's right, cause it,
So yeah, you'll have 2 names that are starting in April. And just so y'all know, that's when the city clerk also comes in and we go over all of the different
Open
functions of the boards and commissions and open meeting laws. And then after that, the Colorado Communities for Climate Action will be presenting. There was enough, I think I mentioned this to y'all a few months ago, but there was enough interest from council that wanted to hear about it. So how the process has worked with this entity is they track and advocate for local governments to the state on climate policy and help to keep us in a loop. So there's a bunch of different member organizations. So they come to different boards. This happened when I was at the city of Arvada, and they present, and then it would be, if y'all like it, you know, you take it then to city council because they have to formally adopt and agree to the actions and the policies that they're called CC4CA is like the acronym that they have laid out that they're lobbying for. So it's like, we're on the same page. We agree with the things you've laid out. So they'll go over all of that and what those are. And what
And then that's basically them going and lobbying at the state and saying, see, the city of Littleton agrees, see, the city of Arvada agrees, see this, like, basically, we're just throwing our name behind what they're doing if we agree.
that, and they technically then someone from Littleton becomes a board member. And so then they have a say in how and what they lobby, but they also can talk. So it's usually a council member, but it could also be me. Or what often happens is there's a council member, then I would be like the backfill if they can't represent. Anyone is allowed to attend sort of within the city staff. It's just that you only have one voting body of saying, you know, what they are, but it's also connecting council to other local governments across Colorado of like, how are you navigating extended user responsibility, right? Like, this is a new law that's coming down the line. It's unprecedented. Only California has done this. Like, what is happening? How are we, you know, handling this as like similar different communities that have an interest in this and need to be following this or need to understand the model electric codes or what the Colorado Energy Office is doing. So it's really just helping navigate the waters of some more complicated like climate policy and legislation that comes through the state. Cause it's not all straightforward, and sometimes I've noticed that legislation doesn't even quite know what it's doing. So it's like, it's everyone's kind of figuring it out together, but it makes it a lot easier to have like someone from our council that's representing the community say like, okay, well, like, let's actually just figure this out and get ahead of it rather than, you know, it's the proactive versus reactive. I think it would help navigate. And they have, I think, like a retreat every year or a summit that they do, and they'll tell you more about it when they come and present, but
They're coming in next month?
yeah, they're coming next month. So, that was my other update. And then we vote on new chair and vice chair next meeting, so if that's something people are interested in, think about that.
Chair Millen has indicated that he wants to see a change in the chair.
Yeah, he said that he's gonna be just a board member now, that every board is healthier when it rotates leadership. That's his words. So yeah, I'm hoping people are excited to step up.
Do we know who our new board members are yet? The 2 new ones?
They
Are you allowed to share
Yeah,
that?
it's public, they adopted it.
Okay.
Oh, what had a last name that like, I tried to remember.
Let's not try to remember, we're being recorded.
Yeah, let's not try to remember.
it's like mine, weird, and nobody can pronounce it. Yeah, it's weird and
How do
nobody.
people mispronounce it?
Well, actually, my family, one group of family says Paveo, the other group of family says Pavo. My dad goes with the Portuguese, which is Pavao, so yeah, nobody knows how to say it.
Even within the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
California says it one way, Massachusetts says it a different way, and then
I
my
think one
dad
was Andrew Hicks.
went rogue.
Something like that.
That was one. And then I don't remember. But anyways.
Is the other person,
If you look
Male,
at last,
female.
last night agenda, it has their name, sorry.
I think they are both
I'll try to pull it up, I couldn't.
identifies male?
men, but I haven't
Interesting.
heard from them about pronouns or anything in that regard, but that's just from their names, so. Yeah, and I think, yeah, looking ahead to the new board in next year, just sort of what, those priorities are and what y'all are excited about. And I know that we talked a little bit about waste diversion, electrification, and a little bit about like water conservation. So kind of want to just do a pulse check and see if that was kind of still where everyone's mind was at. I know there's only a few of us here tonight, so.
I'm still all about the waste diversion stuff. It's my number one priority still, even after 2 years.
And then there's significant.
Committee.
changes in that, so when you do take it on, there'll be people that,
Yeah, a lot of people in the community.
I think this,
interested.
you know, the report should be finalized like late summer, early fall. And so that would be a great one for the board to get a presentation on, that kind of stuff.
I think,
Decide if you want to take action.
Scott and I chatted about it with Lauren. It seems like towards the end of the year, just based on like one, cause like elections will be so probably like a post-election,
Okay.
just to avoid any political things
Yeah.
regarding it.
Yeah.
And with the waste report coming out in probably August, September, like that should actually align relatively well.
Yeah, in terms of like the flows of it.
I know.
But to avoid some of
Cause
the
I wanted it
political.
2 years ago.
I know, I think opposite.
Yeah.
But just to avoid the political confrontation, be like a December, January thing, which would still be in the term.
There's also some interesting like earmarked funds that I saw at, I wanna say it's the Colorado Energy Office that's doing, if you make policies around waste and waste diversion. Oh, okay.
Do you want to try?
It's the last name.
Thomas Econopoli. Econopoli. Thank
Is
you.
that Greek?
That's great.
Sounds Greek.
Can you spell it for me, please?
Econopouli.
I wouldn't have put a Y on it. Oh,
Yeah.
me too.
You
That
cannot.
would have made it Greek.
Yeah, who knows
With,
now?
with a Y, it could be anything. We'll have to ask him.
Yeah, I was like, when I saw the spelling, it doesn't look Greek, but it sounds Greek.
It's fascinating. Okay.
It does sound.
Yeah, like when you said it out loud, it sounds Greek, but then
Yeah,
with the
but with the
spelling, I was
Y,
like.
it doesn't seem Greek.
They
Exactly,
changed
that's
it.
what I was saying.
If it was spelled different,
Ask him.
with the OU, I would go with Greek, that'd be my.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm afraid to ask ChatGPT now because.
It's like they-
Could tell you the answer, but I'm not gonna.
Sounds very little.
So, yeah, to go back a second, there's some new funding for implementing policies and action plans at the local level, specifically like for very specific actions, and one is around waste diversion and then prioritizing zero emissions waste hauling trucks. And so it's possible to that I can look into that more too, about they could also help craft policies that are specific. And there's also programs that are a continuation of the one I'm in with the Colorado Department of Public Health and the Environment, and that's funded by landfill tipping fees that the state does. So it's very secure. So if we don't do it this year, it will be there next year. That's also something I've been trying to navigate and figure out with a lot of the grants and funding I'm looking at, is what is urgent versus not. So it's leading me internally towards more of the electrification side of the house. Because at the federal level, DOE is a lot, the Department of Energy is a lot of those trickle down funds, and those are a lot more uncertain than some of the state programs. Not to say that they're not all important and I want to do every bit, but it's, yeah, trying to sort of chase what's happening to make sure that I'm like planning ahead for the monetary side of the house, which is not any of your concern, but just so you know what I'm been working on, so we can stay on the same page. Right? Do we move to C, or do we have more we want to talk about for next year?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good with that priority list.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
And C is the environmental stewardship action plan progress update and discussion.
Pick up here, March 2025. Here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, so the existing initiatives, let's see.
What section is this?
This is,
Oh, built environment, okay.
I feel like maybe I should have, I feel like that the waste diversion plan that I'm doing is going to be much more comprehensive than. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something here.
Well, so if this is built environment, it wouldn't be the waste management.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Waste diversion, that's a
We
different.
can.
Yeah, just go to 2.1.
There is also some earmarked funding for further enforcement mechanisms through Dr. Cog. Pretty certain that that funding is still there and they can access the accounts. So if that's true, I can also see to it, that when we're looking at those funds, I think we have the writing side of the house down, but maybe it would be helpful to have additional capacity for that enforcement side too. Just so that could be something that Dr. Cog also comes in and helps with. But this is sort of the status that I was told.
Can't recall off the top of my head what 1.1.4 and
I mean,
1.2
fair.
is.
I think it's just the emphasis on like multimodal, protected bike lanes. And I believe that that's all within the purview of the transportation master, like the new one that they're looking at, and so. We can also still meet with the Transportation Mobility Board, but if we feel like they're taking along and don't wanna do that, also fine. The offer is always out there.
What about in like May or June or something, having someone present some of the transportation master plan like progress or something, or highlights, like that could be kind of cool.
Yeah. I can ask them if any of them be willing to come and
Yeah,
see.
or whether it's someone from the board or a staff.
It'd probably be staff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're a little bit, they'd be able to really confidently answer all of the questions and concerns. Do you think that's a possibility?
Definitely a possibility. One thing that I would say is that if we're at the end of this current TMP, that there likely in 2026 will be an update to the TMP done, a pretty extensive update. And so oftentimes when you're towards the end of plans, what you're actually doing is quite a bit different. And our Safer Streets Littleton initiative is very different from what was included in the transportation master plan. And from a sustainability point of view, where you're talking about, getting cars off the road and those kind of things, you might be more interested in what's happening currently with Safer Streets Littleton, maybe, than the transportation master plan per se. So you might, if you do make that invite, you might leave it more broad, but you might also say, no, I wanna hear about the transportation master plan. That's whatever you wanna do, but
Or
just.
like future plans for crafting the next one, or?
Yeah, well, certainly you'd want that when that comes, because that'd be important to hear about the sustainability elements and whatnot. And you'll be included whether you ask or not.
It's a huge,
Yeah.
I can already tell it's a big sector of our emissions within the city.
But
No
that'll,
one's surprised,
yeah,
it's
that'll be a
transportation.
year from that, so.
Speaking of emissions, when do you think the greenhouse gas plan or inventory will be done in a way that you could like give us a high level overview of it? Like, cause that could also be something that we earmark for May, June, July, whenever.
There's one last piece of data that's should be wrapped up mid this month, and then I have to do a lot of math on it, so April, and then it takes ICLEI, the government, like the nonprofit entity I'm working with, they have to do a quality check, and all this is to say, I think June is my hope. Okay. But it kind of also depends on they've lost a lot of capacity.
That could be a fun, like June, if we make June kind of a transportation sustainability
Yeah.
combo meeting where you talk high level about the green, especially if transportation is one of the higher components, and then have staff come to talk about like Safer Streets Littleton or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great idea, and if it's Yeah, maybe it's June, maybe it's July, one of the two, but yeah, I love that. And also there's been people that have offered to talk about the land use side of things. I will say the ULUC is I found that it was very, very difficult to go through updates, so I've been trying though to get into conversations with them and like discuss sort of what concerns are, and they share a lot of the concerns that I share and that I think all of you share. I think it's just figuring out the priorities in the process, so this is more, I can keep you updated as I learn from them what's going on and what they're thinking, but I do defer to them a bit in this realm because they know this code back and forth. They had a crash course or two, so now I'm getting better, but.
The second Tuesday in May, our on the study session is tentatively planned to be a discussion of the Colorado Model Electric Code, which includes solar ready and those kind of things. And
2024 IECC.
yeah, exactly. So I think that if you wanted to invite staff to come and talk about what's included in there and have them hear what your passions are in that area, that's an opportunity for sure. They were aiming for trying to be ready for Earth Week, and they just aren't gonna because some other things going on. So it'll be the first study session in May, which is the second Tuesday. So if you wanted to hear from them at your meeting in May, on that subject, just ask Laura.
I think a lot of these things would be good to kind of table, and then when we have our new members too, we can kind of lay it out on the table and kind of figure out.
Yeah. And you predicted the next one. This is literally Colorado Model.
Oh,
And it's
sorry.
like, no, it's okay, move to May 2025. And also the setbacks for solar are 36 inches and they told me they're going to 18. So that was one of the other things I don't know if this was the right place for me to put it here, but.
Cool.
This is Safer
Sorry,
Streets
didn't edit.
Littleton. Oh, no. Well, it was helpful. Also, let me know if I'm going too quickly.
I think we already kind of talked about Safer Streets Littleton.
I have a lot on the workforce side. I went to a fleet electrification summit last week, and there are a lot of different trainings like starting to develop and are available. Apparently a lot of the trainers live in California, and so that's like logistically very difficult for Colorado, which is super interesting, and I did not realize that gap in people that actually train workforce development groups. But it sounds like DRCOG is starting to engage with Arapahoe Community College, which is interesting, but then we're also running into this issue in the industry of that most of the people that do this work are retiring, and there isn't really a big workforce coming up even for HVAC, but also for, a subsection of that heat pumps. Like there's going to probably be that big gap that we see, and hopefully DRCOG will help and Colorado Energy Office, but I think also being able to highlight when those programs come up on our website will be helpful and important. Yeah, it's overwhelming, the gap that we'll have, but.
Can you talk a little bit about what DRCOG does, for example, with ACC, and like, do they have a program that they?
They're like in the early stages of developing it. They were given about 200 million in a grant from the EPA last year, and through that have established different like work groups. And so I'm in the building policy collaborative one where I was talking about enforcing the building codes. There's a separate workforce development one that our green business coordinator is in. So we just decided that we would just communicate with each other about what was happening to save, it's like 5 hours. You were part of it for a bit. It's extensive meetings. So we're just communicating with each other, but in that work group, I think it's just they're building out what it looks like and what that RFP would be. And
It's
so-
actually open right now. So like I toured along with the council members, them as well, Arapahoe Douglas Works earlier this week. And they are one of the people who bid on a portion of that contract for training and labor. So it's open right now. It's not closed, so we don't know what the results are. There are, so if you want to collect unemployment, benefits, you have to register with the local, employment. There are entity for that. So if you're in Arapahoe or Douglas County and that's one of the requirements, you have to go register with them. So you don't have to be an unemployed either though. There's lots of ways they can train you, give you upskilling and whatnot. And so this would be a new program to upskill specifically in areas that help, advance decarbonization.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Thanks for that update.
Yeah.
No, it's good to know.
And Mayor Pro Tem Barr is on the executive committee of the decarbonization area for Dr. Cog. So like really cool that he's making sure that South Metro and Littleton are fully aware and getting there.
Unofficially making sure.
Well, representationally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and improving stormwater infrastructure upgrades that will be, and I've been told it will be integrated moving forward. Yeah, none of it is as cheap as you did. Yes, not that that matters, but you know, it's happening. Everyone is aware of it and sort of those issues, so.
When you say like these type of improvements will be integrated, were the discussions around specifically including like green infrastructure projects as part of the improvements? Like, what does that look like? Or are there any examples where they're currently being integrated?
So there's certainly sustainability elements in all of our projects. But like the Jackass Gulch just happening alongside Mineral right now, that project was planned and designed several years ago. And so while it has sustainability elements in it, it would not be honest to say, based on our action plan, because any elements they have were in place or are in place not because of us, right? And then unfortunately, much of the stormwater work that's happening in 2025 is emergency work. It's like replacing the culverts under Broadway at Lee Gulch, which is a really big project. But I will say that something that would certainly align with the action plan is while Broadway is cut open, we're gonna actually install a tunnel so that Lee Gulch Trail will be connected underneath Broadway.
Oh, nice.
And
Fantastic.
so that's really fantastic. That would not have happened. And the total cost of that portion of the project is about $5 million. So total cost of the project is almost $10 million, but the pedestrian underpass about $5 million. And the other pedestrian, and I say pedestrian, but bicycle pedestrian,
And
trail
wildlife,
under-
honestly.
Hey, sure.
Yeah.
But so if we were doing that by itself, it'd be $10 million by itself. And so the fact that we can do it for $5 million is amazing, and one of the reasons why that's happening. But South Suburban will actually realign the Lee Gulch Trail right there, just below the hospital and on the west side of the road as well, so that it'll make sense. So right now you're like, how's that gonna connect? Well,
Yeah.
the trail will be
You go
realigned.
up and then you go back and.
But if you live on the east side of Broadway and you wanna get to the Highline Canal Trail or to the Mary Carter Greenway Trail, fantastic connection. If you live on the west side of Broadway and you wanna get to the hospital for your job or for, whatever, fantastic. You will not have to interfere with traffic today. And so some people probably choose to take a car on those trips because they don't wanna cross Broadway. And so this will allow more people to have better options.
Cool. That's awesome.
But
What about
remember,
forward
it's awesome
looking?
for the next 4 months while there's one lane in each direction. This is awesome. This is awesome.
Gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome.
So for forward looking, like understanding that a lot of it is more emergency related.
We'll get ahead of the curve at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the forward looking is, I feel like not within the next like 3.
These projects usually scoped out in a master plan of sorts, like a stormwater master plan.
Yeah, so they're actually presenting to council at the next week. Yep, holy smokes. So next week, next Tuesday night at the study session they'll be talking about all the master plan of the stormwater and the needs around the city. And right now, it's unfortunately almost exclusively emergency work because of, so you remember last year, Jackass Hill, not last year, 2 years ago, Jackass Hill. The corrugated metal pipe collapse. So we call it a sinkhole. It's not technically a sinkhole, it's a pipe collapse, but it's the same thing. But the car actually fell in that, right?
Is that a single?
It's not.
Oh.
Technically, a sinkhole doesn't have a pipe. This is a pipe failure.
Oh.
And so, but it looks like a sinkhole, smells like a sinkhole, call it a sinkhole.
Feels like a sinkhole when you're going in it.
So because of that experience, we did this, cool testing of all of our pipes everywhere that immediately identified where our emergencies were, and Broadway was one of them. So we actually already went in and reinforced Broadway, so we can get to this project. But can you imagine having a sinkhole on Broadway? And that would be.
That'd be,
So yeah, the forward looking is not, I don't think we're quite.
We're not there.
This might not be the year, but if you're interested in stormwater, this next Tuesday night was a great night to learn about what not, but I can tell you that our public works team, so she's part of our public works team, their hearts are all in the action plan. They want to implement these and be forward thinking and do this. And as we move back off of emergencies, that will allow us to be more creative.
I'm still like talking with them, I'm under the,
Yeah.
like Brent's the director of public works, so I hear about all of it, but they're like, we don't need you yet, we're still putting out.
Yeah, fires.
Putting out fires, right, which, we gotta start where we're at.
yeah, for sure. I just know there's a lot of really cool, like green, I mean, I probably couldn't even.
Really cool.
Like, but yeah, like, I feel like once we get past maybe some of those fires, it's an opportunity to be, like, exert some leadership around, like, here's some really cool forward-looking, stormwater enhancements that are not just putting out fires. So I hear you on the emergency side of things, but.
And not exclusively stormwater, but the Reynolds Landing project is awesome, and that definitely meets
That's
your.
also wild. I like biked by it a few times this week, and just the fact that they've completely like diverted the river to like only be, yeah, it's wild. Super cool.
So they're all the in river work is happening, it started already, it's awesome. And Mile High Flood District is the project manager of that portion of the work, and they're going gangbusters, but the ecological benefits, the river will be so much healthier there. But that actually has a stormwater component, because it drains down from Ridgeview Pond down that area. So but I mean, all of the sustainability elements we would want are I would think they're really, that's a cool demonstration project.
Yeah.
It'll connect people to nature. It'll be way more healthy for the wildlife and bugs and birds and whatnot. Cause the way it's been, it's inherited,
Honestly, they're kind of assholes.
I know, we have one not too far from us, and I know all the neighbors don't like it, but I love it. Beaver?
I said beavers are kind of assholes.
'Cause there's a
Like,
beaver
Not that I
in
wanna
the
like
middle.
totally get rid
They
of
are
them.
cool to see. I saw two of them together, and I was stunned.
They're very cool, but they're.
They are, I know.
Jerks.
I know, somebody keeps pulling out their dams, and I just walk, or I run by, I'm like, no, they pulled out the dam again. But then
Don't build it again.
I get it. It'll flood your house. Just move up. That'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm here, so
If you like.
Yay.
done with that one.
If you
Check.
don't,
Check.
celebration.
Yeah, I've been looking into the dark sky stuff. It's, there's a lot of different moving pieces that go with it, cause it's not only would be like, a model lighting ordinance, but it's also like the city lights, which are mostly owned by Excel Energy, so. Well,
Yeah, I've seen this play out with other public infrastructure projects. I'm a wastewater engineer, so we go and update wastewater plants, and like Berthoud right now, we're doing theirs. They're like, we need you to replace all our lights, and they need to comply with this, but they're not gonna go and rip out good lights unless they're failing. So it's just like, as new lights come online, they comply, is how I've seen it work.
Which makes sense. So is that a matter of like just reaching out to Excel and saying, hey, like when your lights fail, could you adhere to dark sky standards with new lights?
yeah, I think, so it's a little bit more complicated because of the structure of our lights are up. Like the little, like if you think about they're called like Sternbergs, they're like the lights on.
Some of them are like, yes.
Yeah, and so,
On Main Street.
so like
On Main Street, yeah.
It's replacing a bigger piece.
so you would have to replace it to like a Cobra light head. Been talking to our traffic and team about it a little bit, and I think it's just sort of deciding when it makes sense for the city to decide to like, if we're going to and when we might look at purchasing of
Yeah, no.
those and converting them. Because right now they go up, which is not the point of any light. Denver also has them too. I've been noticing them now, and they also have a problem. They're not perfect. And it's just, the point of a light is to see this, Yeah, so like there are definitely a lot of opportunities. I've been talking to a lot of different people about it, but I don't have any like substantial exciting updates to give you
I
yet.
think we will have substantial exciting updates for you in 2025. So we're moving on this. And so
Can't leave yet.
we're looking at a massive change in our streetlight program.
Okay.
Okay.
And so I would guess that by summertime, we'll be ready to
I
schedule.
think they're also investigating the ULUC part, like
Mm.
businesses having like those lighting.
Yeah,
Like there has been,
like parking lots and stuff.
I think it's, yeah.
So you're saying Excel owns all the ones, like, so for instance, in my neighborhood, there's just like one of our streets is like a single light on it. Is that likely Excel owned?
There's actually one neighborhood that privately owns like.
Yeah, it's not,
30 of
yours is
them?
probably Excel.
Yeah.
It's probably Excel.
Yeah. But is it like an HOA
It's way
neighborhood?
more likely to be Excel.
Yeah, or if it's gated, they would.
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah, it's
So
gated.
HOA would have it.
It's like the HOA or something.
HOA would maybe
Yeah.
handle it.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is if a light was damaged, say, in my neighborhood,
By BB gun.
then yeah, or something.
But right now, it'd be.
For example, maybe.
I mean, Excel, I feel like would probably, like, there might be an issue if they decide to like change that one light head in terms of people's feeling of aesthetic, but maybe
It's
not.
literally the only one on my street.
Yeah, we only have like one.
There's only one, whole street, and it's right in my front yard.
Same. So annoying.
We will have a plan for all of our streetlight upgrades.
Consider them to be done, I really.
They did a study, like a very extensive study last year on it, and there is,
Okay.
they understand the return on investment of pathway, it's just due to some like organizational changes, it's like
Okay.
been pushed off a little bit, but.
I know we have at least one resident who's very passionate about this.
I'm trying really hard. You're doing a good job, Pam.
And I shouldn't say that at least one. We have lots of residents who are passionate about this, but we have one with us tonight.
I guess the next two are, transportation related, so I think we've talked about this one, the land use decisions encouraging walkability and density, and I feel like that's a focus of the Transportation and Mobility Board is pushing, for the transportation team to think about more and for me to think about more, so I'll continue to work with them and we can get more updates and also potentially get them in. On the electrification side, I've been working with Arapahoe County and Excel Energy through their Partners in Energy program about public charging infrastructure and sort of how to figure out what corridors are missing and where there are those pieces. I think right now there's like some rampant theft and vandalism of EV chargers where people are stealing all the cords. So now they're like really worried about that. It happened at my rec center in Denver.
Why? Is there copper?
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, that's what they think is why, or like selling it to like a chop shop, so looking like someone at like more of a state level probably needs to look at the regulation of that theft, but that's also now like a new fun concern that we're looking at in the electrification infrastructure space, but I'm also doing a lot with fleet electrification internally and trying to figure out their infrastructure, because right now they're using some of the public chargers because we don't have electrical capacity. So like I'm working with Excel Energy to figure out how to increase that to free up some of those chargers in the meantime, as Arapahoe County is not the fastest on their implementation of this, but they are saying they're gonna produce a map and they keep looping us in, so I'll figure out like if they have any more concrete plans. But yeah,
But there's also a way for you to do like outreach to businesses. It's not really, it's like kind of in your job purview, but not really. Like for the brewery, I worked with Excel Energy and they installed like 3 dual port charging stations for free essentially. And then like, I mean, we either have people pay for the cost of them or we cover the cost of electricity just as like a benefit. But as a business, it was a really cool incentive to try to get people to like, hey, come charge your car while you're, having a meal at the farmhouse restaurant.
With Aiden, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I could talk to him too.
Yeah, he would actually, cause I just know as someone working from the business side, Excel was a really great partner to install those in the community. So it's like, I feel like if more businesses in Littleton knew about that or had the like bandwidth to deal with it,
That's awesome.
Maybe
Yeah,
like
I mean, it was like a-
write something up and you could a little like testimonial, cause like having.
Well, actually, they just came out with a video. We did a little video with Excel on like because the chargers were installed like over a year ago. But they just did a little like promo video that's like a minute or two long.
That's not, yeah.
That's an easy way to say like, hey, this is like, again, we didn't pay a dime. It really just, took time on my part to like execute, but we didn't pay a dime. Now we pay a little bit in electricity cost, but it's
I
pretty
can work
low.
with Aiden to see how we can figure out how to plug into that more.
Yeah.
Because that benefits community and businesses.
Yeah, no, like it was honestly a.
What?
Plug in, is it good?
But I feel like if like restaurants and other just like businesses knew about it, like it's a really nice way to just dedicate like, we ended up dedicating 6 spots, but even if it's just like 2 spots at your, front row where you get good parking and you get to charge your car while you're eating or shopping or whatever.
There'll be 6 new chargers at the Costco when it opens.
Wow, that's great. That's nice.
Do Costco's have those normally? Like, I don't think I've ever
I
seen.
don't think the one in
one.
Sheridan does.
I haven't-
which is
I haven't
gas.
seen it. Yeah, but it might be a new standard in their building, so, which is great.
That's nice. But yeah, I think Aiden would probably be a good person to reach out to people for that. And assuming Excel is still doing it, because that was like maybe over a year ago. Yeah, so.
They were recently like sort of brought down by the Public Utility Commission, which regulates entities like Excel, so. We've had a lot of changes in the past couple months, so.
Yeah, so if the program was still there, it was
We'll
rolled out.
investigate and see what we can do. Yeah, then the next one about the storm sewers was something I talked to sort of the right people internally about, and this is the update that they gave me. Now that it's helpful of the response we haven't talked about yet in 5.1.4, but we'll get there. But I don't know if there are any more questions about that one or. I would love to hear what all y'all were thinking about 2.3.4. Or if, I don't know, there were any, like what sort of the overall thought was.
I feel like this might have been a Nick one.
Yeah, it was.
That was probably regarding electrification of housing.
Heat pumps and.
Yeah, whether that was like grants for
Okay.
residents that, lower income residents, or I'm not totally sure. Nick was like our
That sounds
electrician
right, though.
guru.
I like submitted an initial draft of a huge like website clearinghouse for a lot of these resources, so. Webmaster is working on them, I'm sure he has a lot on his plate, but sort of said, gonna start that draft, and so there's some that are in there, and then I would love to eventually just like show y'all, doesn't have to take too long, and hear like what I might be missing or what might be confusing
Okay.
in those resources. So I've done the business page with Aiden, we work together, and then a resident page and ESB's sort of plug in that page too. And then the 2 that might take longer are the internal operations and the one for contractors and developers, because I'm still trying to figure out the resources for contractors and developers. The internal operations is just, they're still working. I think that'll be like where the greenhouse gas inventory would go, and to better understand that accountability too.
And we'll tiptoe into the Earth Week stuff this year, which will be a great opportunity to share programs, resources with people. And we'll learn a little bit from some of our neighbors who are more broadly taking advantage of that opportunity. So, while we tiptoe this year, maybe next year will be more robust in being able to develop programs and share resources.
This one's interesting. The second point was using the frequency of mowing of open space. I think it was that there is.
It goes back to South Suburban. That was something I'd suggested for South Suburban.
I think actually this one might be, it might be like for a specific event. That's in. For the museum and the library. Like,
Sorry, are we talking about the wildlife corridors?
yeah, it would I've been told by our Parks and Rec team that it would increase wildlife corridors because we're mowing at the wrong time of year. But then I think we would have to work with the museum and library to figure out where, is it a craft fair?
Yeah, there's a craft fair.
So it's
every
where the
October.
vendors go, so it's like really big trucks, right? It's like, so that was something that I've been told by a few people internally, like, figure out the mowing, and I'm like, it's just, yeah, there's a big, that draws a really big crowd, and so knowing where to put those vehicles, would Costco have them? Would Costco wanna do it? I don't know. I'm like, I don't even know if that'd be close enough.
It's not close.
Yeah, that's what yeah, so
So that's just Kettering Park though, I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
like.
that's what, and I think apparently
Trying to think of any other place that we would mow that was.
It's
that's
mostly
event-
South
It's-
Suburban.
it's really that one spot, that one time of year, so something that we could all brainstorm together if we wanna help figure out. Cause I think if we were to figure out some type of plan for where those vehicles would go and to decrease like the mowing and that frequency, South Suburban's actually like very much on board with us not mowing at that time of year. And they would support that. I think it's, or like seeing what native landscapes we can look into. There's also a lot of money in like turf conversion right now, which is kind of cool through the Colorado Water Conservation Board. But, I think we'd have to sort of figure out an alternative plan and help with those communications to those vendors because it's such a big event and they've been doing it for so long. Yeah. So, just things to think about. It doesn't have to be our priority, but
In terms of wildlife corridors though, like my interpretation of that is also the crossings of
Santa Fe.
Broadway, Santa Fe, you know, some of the larger, like introducing more connection points like the tunnel that you mentioned for Broadway.
I don't know.
So obviously these are very expensive projects, so not to just be like,
Yeah,
make more tunnels, but,
Yeah, I did have 4 Canada geese crossing the crosswalk in front of me at Windermere and Boulevard, in the crosswalk. I'm like, I've never seen that before.
don't worry, the
They're
geese will
fine.
be, they're there, they're there.
It's adorable.
They're not.
That's not the wildlife you wanna protect? Okay, sorry.
highest priority. Their populations are doing just fine.
Just fine.
Those are alive and well. Yeah, that's just sort of the update that I had heard and that they were mostly, like most of the wildlife corridors were in like South Suburban's purview and a little bit more around like CPW, CDOT. So,
Maybe it's something to keep in mind, kind of like with the Broadway project, where if we can tack on, you know, obviously it's a joint
Yeah.
pedestrian, it's like, you know, the main function is a pedestrian thoroughfare, but, you know, the geese can go through the tunnels
It
too.
can't hurt.
right, right.
And I think they use the one under Santa Fe as well.
Yeah, and I can keep bringing up to them, like, that this is a point that we would like everyone to keep in mind, keep thinking about when
Yeah,
we're doing
yeah.
these projects, like, within public works, so. Yeah, I guess we're on consumption and waste diversion, which is exciting. So, I think there is some type of currently some leaf recycling services, but it's the seasonal, is it seasonal drop off through the fall that y'all have seen, or
I'm not familiar with the leaf one, I just know about the Christmas tree one.
We don't do anything with our leaves.
Yeah, there is a leaf collection program.
well, I think
Mow 'em with our electric mower.
or leave the leaves, that's what I've heard.
And then we don't.
Huh?
Leave the leaves.
I do.
Yeah,
scoop
yeah.
them up and put them
I think
back.
that is the priority, but I think that
Here's
that's people's.
You can leave sometime.
Yeah, I suppose, so.
I've never seen a leaf drop.
That's also something that I'm seeing how we can sort of loop that in, because it's a big point, is that the yard waste is a big capture in our landfill and in our trash in Littleton. Like, we know that from our waste composition study. And so I'm gonna be curious to see what recommendations the consultants come up with for that particular stream, because it's an issue throughout all of the cities participating. The Christmas tree, I think they have a drop off and they turn it to mulch and then it's chipped. So I can also, all of it is like, I can see how I can it might be into figuring out like bundling as we think through waste plans and what the political appetite will be for them. But there are different ways that when you do something like single hauler, there's a lot of benefits where you can add these things on for very cheap costs that like do make for a really good, argument for that, but it could be that we're looking at hauling ordinances and licensing in that way, so it'll just sort of kind of depend on.
I think environmentally it would be better if it was part of the waste hauling, so people don't have to drive to drop their stuff off. And fewer people will do it if they have to drive. They just put it out front. So that would be a nice, these are the things we want you to do.
Yeah, there are different ways that like different cities bundle things, and it's actually been cool to talk to other cities and hear what they're doing and how they've navigated it, but it's kind of 50-50 when I talk to people on if the waste conversation goes well or not, so we'll just have to see when the study comes out, I think, a little bit more. So that's kind of like a lot of these 2 points here. Okay. Well, this one we already, I suppose, went over. Extended producer responsibility. That law is technically rolling out in 2026 and it's still being fleshed out. So I've been on some of those calls about like open hauling communities and how it will affect them, but technically it should mean that recycling is free to all Coloradans. But it will probably take a while to see those benefits in an open market community of hauling, so. That's that. We actually do have a household hazardous waste program, curbside program, and it should be available to all single family, multifamily, and commercial entities. And so I included that on my website, sort of revamped draft that I sent out, so hopefully that will be pushed out to more people so that they'll know that that's an option, which is exciting and also helps keep it out of our waste streams and wastewater.
Since we have communications person now, it sounds like, I wonder if some of these things like Christmas trees and hazardous waste could be in the newspaper, like.
They definitely are. They're in our,
They are already.
and they're on our social media and whatnot. They're great
Yeah.
partners.
Okay, cool.
But one cool thing of having a chance to change leadership, so our previous communications director had been here for 33 years, I think, something like that. And so having new perspective, maybe there's ways to actually amplify or magnify our voice that we, instead of the same, because if we're not connecting with people now and we're doing the same things, it's not reasonable to expect a different result. But yeah, I'm excited. We really, she starts Monday, so we're really excited.
A lot of this is just gonna be, that this is all sort of part of the waste diversion study and the plans. Yeah, this is also I put on the website.
Sorry, just to clarify real fast, when you say website, because when I just did a quick search, like City of Littleton Environmental,
They still, he hasn't published it yet.
got it,
So
okay, sounds good. I
I
found
sent him all of the drafts and all of the links and the language, and I think, I don't.
Okay. Cause there is like a green environmental programs page that has some
I'm-
stuff on it.
I'm scrapping that and I'm
Got it.
having a sustainability section, so you can go as like a resident, a business. So if you're interested in the board, internal operations, then contractors and developers. So then I've like done an audit of everything, every keyword I can possibly think of to find which pages to integrate, which ones to be like, what is this? And then sort of, I think I might have overwhelmed, so,
Okay.
I'll know when.
Let us know when it's live, cause that sounds awesome when it's,
Um,
will be.
And yeah, I love feedback on everything, but I worked with Aiden on the business side, so that was also exciting. So yes, that is what I mean, that it's not there right now. But it has been sent to the right people. So yeah, all of this, I mean, we can walk through it, these are all part of the study that they've looked at, like pay as you throw is what Sheridan does, who's in the study. So that's, volume-based pricing, which is really interesting and also encourages diversion just in terms of a monetary benefit. So yes, all of this, the bids, the contracts, encouraging people, well, soon with recycling potentially being free to all residents, I think that'll be a great opportunity for businesses, especially small businesses, to be able to take advantage of it. And it seems like you have to be over like a $5 million budget per year as a business to have to like,
The brewery is applicable.
to like,
Driving into it.
to have to pay into it. Well, let me know what you
Lot of
think.
money. Not good when beer's not doing well. It's brutal. I'm all for it, but from a business side of things, it's a little harsh. We need to move away from glass. Glass is very heavy. Is my biggest takeaway so far.
We actually have really good glass recycling now. Did find that.
But it's
No.
cost 5
Yeah.
times as much as aluminum. An empty glass bottle is about 205 grams. An empty aluminum can is about 12 grams. And they are cost the same per pound. They're estimating it'll be about 4 cents per pound for what we sell.
Well, aluminum's also very recoverable.
Yeah, so my biggest, yeah, anyway.
But not everybody likes their beer in a can. I am not a beer drinker, I just am saying that as a general thing.
I know.
The more you know.
I have a lot of other reasons I also just want to move away from glass. So for me, this is just like hey, it's gonna cost us a ton of money to like
Yeah.
keep running glass.
Mhm.
So,
Interesting.
I don't know why people don't like it in cans, I'm not privy to that information, I just know that not everyone does.
Okay.
and in
Big
blind,
secret.
in
I don't know
blind.
why.
I don't know,
In
does
blind,
any,
in blind sensory,
beer
people
drinkers know?
literally don't, there is
They
no,
can't tell?
there's no difference. It's,
Then why are-
it's like the
It's all
feeling of
mental.
glass, yeah, like the feeling of glass
Mouth
against
feel.
your lips first, it does not change how the beer tastes or.
At all.
Mm-mm.
okay,
No.
well, I'm
It's
gonna
literally
pass that
just-
on to the
It's
new
literally
guys.
just in
Perceptions are
we're getting off topic now, but after doing research, I did a whole research paper on it for grad school. And so I'm like, I have way too much information on this bouncing around in my head. But basically, in the craft beer boom in the like early 2000s, that's when glass started to have this reconnaissance of like, look how fancy beer comes in glass versus
Okay.
like the Coors Light and the Bud Light, the like kind of, your value brands that come in aluminum. And so when craft beer started coming back and it was all in glass, people then started to associate fancier beer, high quality
Interesting.
beer with glass.
Okay,
So it's purely a societal perception.
Okay.
There is no like, if anything, glass actually lets light in and you can like light struck your beer, even though
Right.
like brown glass doesn't let it a ton through, but like there's more light gets through any type of glass versus like an aluminum can, which is like totally
I love it,
dark. So
good for you,
anyway,
keep going.
and it's a
Keep
safety
pushing then.
concern.
Fighting the good.
It
fight.
is, for
Like
sure.
literally like broken glass is a
Yeah.
safety concern. So
Yeah.
anyway, I could talk more about
Oh,
it.
I hope
but-
that works.
Does the aluminum all come domestically, like from the recycled streams, or is?
Both.
I'm wondering about the tariffs, are they gonna?
It's gonna hit hard.
like,
It's gonna hit craft beer hard.
Beer's not doing well already, and it's
Yeah.
like, we're getting hit with the ERP fines, which again, I'm all for from an environmental standpoint, just like from a business standpoint, it's a little rough, and then with the tariffs coming, like, it's gonna be a rough year,
okay.
rough few years.
All right. We have 8 minutes left. Do we wanna start natural environment or do we wanna?
No, I think it's a good stopping point,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll pull this.
yeah, and that way we can just end off with any updates, yeah, any reports that y'all have that we haven't talked about?
I don't think so on my end, Mike.
Covered a lot.
Are y'all gonna be at the March?
I'll be in
I put my spring break plans back a day, so yes, I
Wow.
will be there.
Okay.
I know. I
Thank
was gonna
you.
leave on Tuesday, but I'm like, oh crud. So I'm leaving on Wednesday.
Cool. Yeah, I should be there.
I'll
Um,
be out of the country.
Okay.
What's your carbon footprint for that? I'm just
Gee.
kidding,
Yeah,
sorry. Sorry.
How did you get to be on this board?
So,
Did
Laurel,
you not have to submit your carbon footprint like the rest of us for an interview?
so Laurel will sit with you guys, but you'll do most of the talking with the council, so.
Almost, it should be by and large led by y'all, but I'll be there.
Yeah.
And-
I think
It's not-
Scott's planning on being there.
Yes.
Jeff's gonna be there.
Hmm.
What date is it?
It's
Tuesday, the 20th.
Confirmed.
The fourth Tuesday of the month. And we do have one new council member since you guys last met with them, that's Councilmember Joel Zink. And so it'll be fun to get to know another new face.
And then after that, then we have April, a new board and some new agenda items, maybe wrapping up on the the South Suburban side of things after.
Should we go for drinks or something in April after the meeting with our new members?
That'd be a good idea.
To talk
Or
about-
I know last year we did something after, I think it was more like after we presented to council. So if we
Yes.
wanted to come like a farewell to Jeff and that kind of thing, cause I think he's the only one that's not doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Um,
that does make sense.
but doing like a little, I think that's what we did last year. It was like a little get together.
It's your place of work, but we.
I prefer to not go there when
I was gonna say we could support, but then I'm like, yeah, you probably would rather just not.
Yeah,
Yeah, we just did
I
a
think,
view
I
house.
was like,
last
someone asked me the other day about like, oh, like, do you wanna go there? And I was like, I literally give myself like 2 times a year that I'll go, like when I'm not working, like on weekends or something. And it's usually when we're having like a
A
concert or
concert that
something.
you
I
want
can understand and appreciate that.
But I think last year we just went to View
House.
House, just right after the meeting with council, so we can talk about doing something like that again. I think that would be
Yeah.
not a bad way to end the, yeah.
Do we wanna
Say
try to do
farewell to
it
Jeff.
literally after work with
Is
council
that
on the
what we did
25th?
last time, right?
I don't think so, cause.
I think we had
I
to
was already on the
postpone it for
board.
something.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
I'd be
remember
totally okay
why.
with it since I'm missing that council meeting. Just saying, maybe Jeff could come out for a special.
Yeah.
After meeting.
After the April meeting, maybe?
Just invite Jeff.
I'm thinking
Okay,
about-
yeah, we can talk about it. Okay, I don't know, do y'all have anything else you wanna?
Do you get me?
Well, thanks for all your updates and work on this.
Yeah, thank you.
Excited to see these things move forward.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay, should I?
Stop. If she's ready.
Meeting adjourned as of 8:25 PM.